So, without further ado, I present 12 Angry Jurors. Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, and it is now your duty to sit down and try to separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your mind as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare it not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you. The jury will now retire.
He doesn't stand a chance.
Chewing gum? No. Gum? Gum?
Thank you, but no.
You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
You know it's hot.
I never would have known that if she hadn't told me. Would you?
Suppose not. I guess I'd kind of forgotten.
All I've done all day is sweat.
Bet you aren't sweating like that kid who was tried.
They should at least air condition the place. I almost died in court.
My taxes are high enough.
This should go fast anyway.
Yes, it's hot.
All right, folks, everybody's here. If there's anything you need, I'm right outside. Just knock.
Did she lock that door?
Yes, she did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up for a little while.
Then they lock that kid up forever, and that's fine by me.
I never knew they did that.
Sure they locked the door. What did you think?
I just didn't know. It never occurred to me.
Shall we all admit right now that it's hot and humid and our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder what's been going on down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job can be gone. And the whole company, too.
Well,
They aren't gonna like this.
I think this is our duty.
I didn't object to my duty. I just mentioned I might not have a job like that.
You might as well ask her to help you. I mean, she's rich. Just look at that dress. Bet your husband can get you a job.
Is it an original? Yes, it is. I have not from mixed dresses. How does she do? Not too well. You know, a friend of hers, that's a friend of my aunt's. The dressmaker, well, she wanted to be on this jury in my place.
Why didn't you let her? I'd have done anything to miss this.
And get caught or something? You know what kind of a fine you can pay for a thing like that? Besides, this friend of my aunt's was on a jury once. About 10 years ago. A case just about like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off. Reasonable doubt. And did you know that about 8 years later, they found out that he actually done it anyway? A guilty man, a murderer, turned loose in the streets.
How horrible.
Should they get him?
They couldn't.
Why not?
No one could be held in a double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, no one can be tried twice for the same crime.
That isn't going to happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, suppose you can't say much against it.
So how'd you like that business about the boy with the knife? Did you ever in your life hear such a story?
Look, you don't expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
The boy bought a switch knife that night.
And then claims he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
Oh, his father.
Men.
An awful way to kill your father. A knife in his chest.
Look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
A Lulu. These holiday colds can kill you.
I had one last year. On my vacation, too.
All right, let's take seats.
Right. I've got tickets for Mary Poppins for tonight. Me and my husband must be the only people in the whole world who haven't seen it yet. All right, everyone. Start the show.
How about sitting down? The man at the window? How about sitting down?
Oh, sorry.
It's hard to figure, isn't it? A boy kills his father, just like that. Well, it's this juvenile delinquency. People think kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There's no point in getting emotional about it. It's a question of evidence, not how we feel.
We all agreed that it was hot.
And then our tempers will get short.
But that's if we disagree. This case is open and shut. Let's just get it done.
All right, now you folks can handle this any way you want. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. We can discuss it first and then vote, or we can vote now to see how we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we could all go home.
Yeah. Let's see who's where.
Right, let's vote.
All right, let's vote.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
That was easy.
Okay, all those voting guilty, raise your hands. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 for guilty. Not guilty? 1. Okay, 11 for 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
What's the matter with you? Do you really believe this boy's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, he still doesn't know.
In 6 days, I can learn calculus. This is A, B, C.
I don't believe it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life.
What does a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to judge him on his face?
You sat right in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
Where do you look to see if a man is a killer?
Oh. Well,
No, tell me. What the facial characteristics of a murderer are. Maybe you know something that I don't.
Look, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
He's 19 years old.
that's old enough. He knifed his father 4 inches into the chest. Innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right. They proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Do you believe the stupid story he told?
Now.
Do you believe the boy's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Well, who says it's easy for me?
Or me.
No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard one.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
I think the boy's guilty. You wouldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking of?
I just want to speak for a minute or two. This kid's been knocked around all his life. You know, living in the slum. His mother's been dead since he was 9. He's a tough, angry kid. These slum kids get this way because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. I just think we owe them a few words. That's all.
All right, life's hard. It was hard for me. Everything was bad my husband and I fought for. I worked my way through college where I met him. That was a long time ago, and perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, my husband fought, but neither of us ever killed.
I know what it's like, and I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Wait until you've worked in that agency and the guy that buys the advertising walks in.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a science, but let's try to find something better than that.
Look, I don't mind telling you this, mister. We didn't know that boy a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what a trial costs? He's like he's even got it. Look, we're all adults here. You're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is. I lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. Even you know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You don't have a monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
Four. I don't see any need.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like adults.
Right. Certainly, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, why, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to close the window. It was blowing on my neck,
I'd like to have the window open.
but it was blowing on me.
It's summer. It's hot. Don't you want a little air?
I was very uncomfortable.
Look, there are 12 of us in this room, and that is the only window, if you don't mind.
I have some rights too.
So do the rest of us.
Look, couldn't you trade chairs with someone else at the other end of the table?
Fine, I will open the window. If someone will trade.
Take my chair.
Thank you. Shall we get back to the case?
Yes, let's.
I've got an idea. I'm just thinking out loud. And it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this man that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each talk for a minute or two, you know? Try it out for size.
I think that sounds fair.
Very fair.
Supposing we go once around the table?
Okay, let's start it off.
Okay, I guess you're first.
Well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way is it obvious?
I mean that nobody proved it otherwise.
Nobody has to prove it otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, and the defendant doesn't even have to open their mouth. It's in the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment, you've heard of it?
Everyone has.
Of course I've heard of it. I know what it is. What I meant was, well, anyway, I think he's guilty.
No reasons, just guilty. There's a life at stake.
Alright, let's get to the facts. First, let's take the old man who lived in the room right underneath the place where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12, he heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." Then he heard a body fall 1 second later. He ran out through his door, down the hall, and looked out just in time to see the boy running down the stairs and out of the house. So then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
In the corner, fix the time of death around midnight.
Right, now what else do you want?
I don't know, it doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's whole story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
You're absolutely right.
He didn't have the ticket stub.
Who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
That's true enough.
I suppose, but the cashier didn't remember him.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about women across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing can.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot, you know? Anyway, she wakes up, looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the boy knife his father.
How can she really be sure that it's him that she saw through the windows of a moving elevated train?
She's known him all his life. His window was right opposite hers, across the L tracks. She swears she saw him do it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So?
Then let me ask you this question. Why do you believe her? She's one of them, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart cookie, aren't you?
Now take it easy.
Alright. Come on. Let's sit down. What do you let him get you all upset for? Relax.
They did take us out to the women's room and we looked through the windows of a passing elevated train. Didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And couldn't you see what happened on the other side?
I couldn't see as well as they told me I would, but I guess I did see what happened.
You do see. Don't you?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
Oh. I don't know. I mean, I started to be convinced, with the testimony from the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the boy and the father around 7 o'clock? I mean, I could be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
What does that prove?
Oh, well, it doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Is there anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been settled. We can talk all day about this thing, but I think we're just wasting it.
I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the boy's record. He's been arrested for mugging. He stole a car. I think they said he once stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
He was picked up for knife fighting. At 15, he was in a reform school.
And they sent him to reform school for knifing somebody.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I on a boy like that, or if I couldn't, I'd see that his father did.
You're right. It's these kids. The way they are, you know? I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, you know? I haven't seen that boy in 3 years, rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out. Let's just get on with the case.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's admit, he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, so do you. The children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. Trust me, I don't want any part of them.
I've lived in the slum my whole life.
Now, wait a minute.
I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing.
There is something personal.
Come on now. She didn't mean you any. Let's not be so sensitive.
Who did she mean?
I can understand the sensitivity.
All right, let's stop the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this case. I feel that the defense counsel never really did a good cross-examination. There were so many things that were left unanswered.
Although it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy, still, I agree with you that the defense counsel was bad.
So?
This is the point.
What about facts?
There were so many things left unanswered.
What about the things that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife that fine, upright boy admitted by.
All right, let's talk about it. Madam Foreman, I'd like to see it again.
I don't see why we have to see it again. We all know what it looks like. What do you think?
The man has a right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay with me.
This knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
Now, let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits going out of his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punch.
Or punch. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
It's a pretty unusual knife. It's kind of hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it's the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right.
You bet she's right. Now I want you to listen to this girl. She knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on the way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Says he never saw it again. Now there's a story. You know what actually happened? The boy took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with this case identified this knife. Are you trying to tell me that someone picked the knife off the street, went up to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No, I'm just saying that it is possible that the boy lost the knife. And that it's possible that someone stabbed his father with a similar one. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept anything. I'm just saying that it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
Who do you think you are?
What are you trying to do here?
Quiet! Let's be quiet!
Where did you get it?
I got it around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2.
Now you listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that, so what?
Maybe there are.
The boy's guilty and you know it.
Maybe he lied, right? Maybe he didn't. Maybe the boy did go to the movies. Maybe the reason that no one remembers seeing about the movies is because he snuck in and was so ashamed and couldn't tell us. Is there anyone here that could say they didn't sneak into the movies once or twice when they were young?
Well, I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies.
Oh.
Maybe he did go to the movies, and maybe he didn't. And maybe he lied. Do you think he lied?
And that's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
What are you, the boy's lawyer? Look, there are still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, the boy will be tried again, found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So, what are you going to do about it? We could beat her all night.
It's only one night. A man may die.
Oh, come on now.
Yes, that's true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
Right. Let's get going here.
How do you like this man?
Well, what have you got to say? You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy is guilty.
I have a doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented us with anything that makes it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy shriek it out.
And the woman across the L track, she saw it.
We know he bought a switch knife that night, and we don't know where he really was. At the movies?
Earlier that night, the boy and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent boy all the way, and while that still doesn't prove anything.
Still, you know.
I've got a proposition to make. I want you 11 jurors to vote. And I want you to vote by secret ballot, and I will abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone, and we can bring the guilty verdict into the judge now.
Okay, let's do it.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
How do you like that?
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
Alright, who did it? What idiot changed their vote?
Now, is that the way to talk about a man's life?
Whose life are we talking about? The life of a dead man or the life of a murderer?
I want to know. Who?
So do I.
Excuse me. This was a secret ballot.
Nobody looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot. We agreed on that point. No? If the person wanted to remain a secret...
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know exactly who did it. You. What's the matter with you? First, you come in here and you vote guilty. Then this slick preacher starts to tear your heart out. But a poor, innocent little boy who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote to not guilty. If that's not the most simple...
Now hold it!
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it? Be fair? That's just what I'm saying. I'm trying to send a boy out to the chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tales?
Now just a minute.
Now you listen to me.
Let's try to keep this organized.
It isn't organized, but let's try to be civilized.
Please, I would like to say something here. I always thought that a person was entitled to have unpopular opinions in this country. That is the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Well, do you disagree with us?
Usually, I would. But in this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country, I am ashamed to say...
Oh, now what did I listen to? The history of your country?
It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in other countries when people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yes, let's stick to the subject. I want to ask you, what made you change your vote?
I want to know too. You still haven't told us.
Why do you think I did change my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for her to tell you. She didn't change her vote. I did.
I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Sorry. Okay, now,
Would you like to know why?
I'll tell you why. That kid's
The
a...
lady wants to talk.
Thank you. This man chose to stand alone against us. That's his right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if it's something you believe in strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is tentative.
That's fine. Silver, get on with it.
If there's anything in the boys' favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get. That's the boy, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. But he'll come around. He's got to. And fundamentally, he's a very reasonable person.
I guess so.
They haven't come up with one real fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know.
It is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what's a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you don't, everyone would just start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
2 people think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
You do hear stories of guilty men who have gone to jail and even death. And then, sometimes years later, things turn up.
And on the other hand, some killers get turned loose and they go and do it again. They squeeze on some technicality and kill again.
Listen, buddy. About before a little. I got a bit excited, you know? I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Think nothing of it. Look, supposing you answer me this. If the boy didn't kill him, who did?
As far as I know, we're here to discuss whether the boy on trial is guilty or not. We're not here to discuss the motives of other people.
I suppose, but who else had a motive?
The father was along in ages. Maybe it was an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everybody's a lawyer. Supposing you tell us what your reasonable doubts are.
This is not easy. So far, it's only a feeling I have. A feeling. Perhaps you don't understand?
No,
A feeling? What are we gonna do? Spend the whole night talking about your feelings? What about the facts?
You said a mouthful. Look, there's the old man. He swore that he heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling, and he saw the boy running down the stairs and out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you,
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like this man? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman said she saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. She said the train had 5 cars and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
right, now what else do you want?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me.
Supposing you think about it. Here, lend me your pencil. Let's play some tic-tac-toe. We might as well do something.
This isn't a game.
Now, wait a minute.
This is a life at stake.
Who do you think you are?
All right, let's take it easy.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and belt him one.
Now, please, I don't want any fights in here.
Did you hear him? The nerve! The absolute nerve!
Alright! Forget it! Don't mean anything.
How about sit down?
This isn't a game. Who does he think he is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
How long do you think it takes an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what has that got to do with anything?
What do you think? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
No one mentioned it.
What do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe.
I'd say that was a fair guess. Anyone else?
I would think about 10 seconds, perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yes.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point is the window of which the murder took place. You can almost reach out of the window and touch the L train, right?
That's right, I tried it.
So,
Has anyone here ever lived next to the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they? I've lived near them my whole life. And when your window is open and the train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can hardly hear yourself
Hardly
think.
hear yourself think. Get to the point.
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. or 2 seconds per car. The old man would have had to hear the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed it.
the old man downstairs said he heard the boy scream, "I'm gonna kill you." And then 1 second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second, that's the testimony, right?
That's right.
And the woman across the street, she saw the boy kill his father through the last 2 windows of the last 2 cars. Isn't that right?
Right.
So,
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An L train passes a given point in 10 seconds. Now that's 2 seconds per car. That means that the L train would have had to have been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds and maybe more before the body fell, according to the story of the woman. Now that means that the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm gonna kill you," as the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's just not possible he could have heard it.
What do you mean it's not possible? He said the boy screamed it out.
You know, L trains make a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me, too. I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean with the L noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
I don't know. It doesn't fit, though.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy! Why would the old man lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send them into the newspaper? They'll pay you $2.
What does that have to do with the man's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was split under the arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, who has never had recognition, his name in the newspapers. No one knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, questioned, listened to, and quoted just once. This is very important.
And you're trying to tell us that he lied about a thing like that just so he could be important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he made himself believe he heard those words and saw the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How could you come up with a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
How do you know so much about it?
I speak from experience.
what?
I am the same person.
I think we all understand now. Thank you.
If you want to admit you're a liar, it's all right by me.
Now that's too much.
She just told us that she was a liar.
She didn't say she was a liar. She was explaining.
Didn't you just admit to us that you were a liar?
Please. She was trying to explain the circumstances so we could better understand why the old man may have lied. There's a difference.
A liar is a liar. There is no difference.
Please, have some compassion.
Gentlemen, please. We have our job and our duty here.
I think we've covered it.
I hope we have.
Is there anything else?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Anybody want cough drop?
Come on, let's get on with it.
I'll take one.
Get one as well.
Thank you. All right. Now I think that we've established that the old man could not have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
But supposing the old man did hear this phrase, how many times have each of you used it? If you do that one more time, Junior, I'm going to murder you. Go on, Rocky, kill him. We use it every day, but that doesn't mean we're going to go kill someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the boy screamed it at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
Now don't try and tell me anybody says a thing like that they don't mean it. Because if anybody that says a thing like that the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the boy would yell out a thing like that for his whole neighborhood to hear? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Bright? He's a common ignorant slob. He doesn't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure.
Where's the doubt?
There's the knife.
Oh, fine.
He taught you into believe this type of fairy tale.
Go on, give us the reasons.
The old man, too. Maybe he didn't lie, but then again, maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't like the boy.
Well, if that isn't the end,
I believe there's a reasonable doubt.
what are you basing it on? Stories that this man made up? He ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Listen, the boy had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up all these points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, heavens! You sit in here and pull stories out of thin air. Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the boy running down the stairs 15 seconds after the killing.
That's the testimony, I believe.
And the old man swore this. He swore this, yes, only so he could be important.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see what he done.
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where's this bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere? Are we to send a boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Madam Foreman, I'd like to take another look at the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we have them run the trial over just so you can get everything straight?
Please. It's down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know exactly where it is? There is a life at stake. Do you know?
No.
Madam Foreman.
I heard you.
All right. What's this one for? How come you're the only person here who keeps asking to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one, too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all that business about where the body was found?
We're not. We're going to see how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes could get to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
He was an old man. You saw that. Half the time he was up on stand, he looked confused. How could he be positive about anything? Well, you know.
No, we don't. Maybe you do.
Is this what you wanted? Yes, that's right. Thank you. Sure, that's my job. You want this?
Yes, please.
Do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
You did this diagram for 2 hours. Nothing's enough.
Well, I think some people might want to see it again. So, here it is. This is the out track. And this is the apartment in which the killing took place, right? The old man's is directly below and exactly the same. So, here are the out tracks. Here's the bedroom, the bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room. Here's the hall, and here are the stairs. The old man was in bed in this room. He had to get out of bed, get his canes, walk into the hallway, and all the way down to open his door just in time to see the boy run down the stairs. Isn't that right?
Right.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
That's what happened.
The man was here, by the window. It is 12 feet from the bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet 6 inches. The old man had to get out of bed, walk 12 feet, open his door, and then walk 43 feet down the hall, all in 15 seconds. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry. He did hear the scream.
He can only walk there slowly. They have no emergency witness shed.
You make it sound like such a long walk. It's not.
For an old man who uses canes, it's a long walk.
What are you doing over there?
I want to try this thing out. Let's see how long it took him. I'm going to pace out 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You're insane. You can't reconstruct a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This is an important point.
I think it's a ridiculous waste of time.
Let him do it.
I don't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Hand me a chair. All right. This is the bedroom door. Here's the bedroom. Now, how far would you say it is from here to you over there?
Oh, I'd say about 20 feet.
Just about.
All right. So from here to you and back is 40 feet. That's shorter than the distance the old man had to walk through down the hall, right?
A few feet, maybe.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do this?
We can't stop him.
Do you mind if I try? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that. Who's got a watch with a second hand?
I have.
I borrowed this. All right. When you want me to start, stomp your foot, and that will be the body fold.
We'll time you from there.
All right. Let's say he keeps his cane right by the bedroom door.
Right.
All right. I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to be at 60.
Speed it up! You walk twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it isn't.
If you want me to go faster, I will.
Speed it up a little.
Lock, door, stop.
All right.
What's the time?
15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 39 seconds. Exactly.
That can't be.
39 seconds!
Now that's interesting.
Well, now you know.
What do you think of that?
39 seconds. 39!
And the old man swore on his oath that it was 15.
It's my game.
He may have been off on the speed that the old man moved at. But 24 seconds off? Well, now, you know.
Far be it from me to call anyone a liar, but even to allow for quite a difference in speed between the old man and you, why still there's quite a
Discrepancy.
I think that the old man was rushing to the door because he heard someone racing down the stairs, right? And so he just assumed that it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Now listen to me, you people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him. You come in here with your heart pouring all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you got some soft-hearted old ladies listening to you? Well, I'm not. I'm sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this boy, you bet I'd pull the switch.
I'm sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
One of us wants to feel like you want to pull the switch.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want this boy to die because that's what you personally want, not because of the facts. You are a beast. You disgust me.
Shut up! Let me go! I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
You don't mean you'll kill me, do you?
Is there anything wrong in here? I heard some noise.
No, you can take that back. We'll finish with it.
Well, what are you looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. That is the remarkable thing about democracy. That we are, what is the word? Notified. We are notified by mail to come down to this place to decide the guilt or innocence of a person, of a man or woman we have not known before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. That is one of the reasons why we are shown. We should not make it a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded. I'm glad that we're going to be civilized about this.
But we're still going nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. Or getting there, maybe.
Maybe.
So who's got an idea?
I think we try for another vote. Madam Foreman?
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
Let's vote.
Yes, let's vote.
All right, let's do it.
I want an open ballot. I want to know who stands where. Let's call out our votes.
That sounds fair. Anybody object? All right. I'll call out your jury numbers. I vote guilty. 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
6 to 6.
I'll tell you something. The crime's being committed right here in this room.
It's 66.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's no point in this going on any further.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind. And why you changed your mind. And why you did. There's 6 people here in this room who think we may be turning a murder loose in the streets. Emotions won't do. Why?
It would seem that the old man did not see the boy run downstairs. And I don't think it's very likely he heard someone scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And well, if the boy did kill, then we have authority of this man to prove that it might not really mean he's going to kill.
Why don't we take it into the judge and let the boy take his chances with 12 other juries?
It's 6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous. We're never going to convince this man over here.
At first there was a lone, but now there are 5 others who agree. There is a doubt.
You can't ever convince me that there's a doubt, because I know that there is no doubt.
Look. Maybe we are a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We are not going to be a hung jury.
We are right now. Perfect balance. Let's take it into the judge.
If there's a reasonable doubt, I don't see it. The doubt is there in my mind.
Maybe we should vote.
What do you mean vote?
Not again.
I still want to know. Vote on what?
Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
So you're saying we vote yes, we are a hung jury, or we vote no, we're not a hung jury.
That's just what I was thinking of.
I don't think we could agree on whether or not we're a hung jury.
We can't even agree on whether or not the window should be open.
Let's make the majority vote. The majority wins.
If 7 or more of us vote yes that we are a hung jury, we take it into the judge and tell him that we are a hung jury.
Right. And if 7 or more of us vote no, that means we're not a hung jury and we go on discussing it.
It doesn't seem quite right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree. It's the only way. Anything to end this.
All right. Are we all agreed then? 7 or more votes yes, we take it into the judge?
Let's call out our votes.
All right. I say yes. We're a hung jury. 2,
No.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5, no. 6,
No.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
9,
No.
10,
Yes.
11,
No.
12.
Yes.
Great.
The vote is 6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury. I went along with the majority vote on this question, and I didn't agree with voting that way. Not really, and I still don't. So I say no, we are not a hung jury. I believe the boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but there are some things I want to find out from those who changed their minds.
Then we are not a hung jury, so we go on.
Good. We go on.
Why did you change your mind?
Well, he seems so sure, and he has made a number of good points. Well, he only gets mad and insults everybody.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt to the boy? He did do it. Are you going to turn a murder loose in the streets because one of the jurors becomes angry when he thinks a murder is being turned loose?
That's true.
There is a doubt. I don't think so. The tracks are straight in front of the window. Let's take that point. So the L train would have made a low rumbling noise. L train screeched when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard a scream, which is high pitched, and it is a tenement, and they have thin walls.
Good. Good. That's it. That's it.
And what if the old man downstairs may have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw? Please remember that there weren't any fingerprints on the knife, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now I want you to listen to this gal. She's got the goods.
And it may have taken the murderer a few seconds to get a handkerchief out and wipe the fingerprints away.
This is a point.
Why don't we time this one? To see.
Just what are we signing?
Yes, let's be exact.
I'm saying that the old man downstairs may have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but right about whom he saw. Please remember that It may have taken the murderer about 35 seconds to get from his bedroom to the front door and down the stairs to where the boy saw him, or where the old man saw him, the boy that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door, and we timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think a murderer could ease up to 30 to 40 seconds pretty easily at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Why don't you do the stabbing?
No, I'll do it.
Fine by me. Why don't you be the one to get stabbed? You're younger than I am, and remember, you take 1 second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side, so fall and roll onto your right side. If someone hates another person enough to kill them, wouldn't it be reasonable to suppose that the murderer would look at his victim for a second or two?
Try to divorce yourself from this particular case. Just human nature.
Yes, it seems like.
Hey. Wait a minute. He falls and ends up on his right side. The father did. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting him, even when it's right in the heart. He would have worked around for a few seconds, on the ground, writhing maybe.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in the system to carry him out for 2 or 3 seconds, I should think.
Wouldn't the father have cried out?
Maybe the kid held his mouth.
This also seems possible.
Also, there's another point we may bring out. Anyone who is clear enough mentally to wipe their fingerprints away after murdering someone is also clear enough mentally to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, to see if there are any other clues. It would just be for a second or two, I should think, but still, he would look.
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't talk about quality when murder is involved. Well, let's do it.
About this on the fingerprints. The boy wiped the knife after the killing. Well, what about the doorknobs? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping the doorknobs as he walked in, I'd start screaming. I think even a man would have an uneasy feeling about this, so the doorknobs must have been wiped after the killing, and this too would take some time.
You timed the last one. Why don't you time this one too?
All right.
Stamp your foot when you want me to start.
I want the hand to be at 60.
I'm going to kill you!
Ah!
He would have wiped both knobs. Stop.
20, yeah, 20. 25, 29, 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And the boy still had to run down the stairs, at least one flight of stairs.
You see? You see?
The old man may have been wrong about the time, but in view of this, I believe he could see the boy run down the stairs.
So now both time sequences check. The one you did and the one we did. What with running downstairs and everything, it does pretty much check out on times.
Sure, he's an old man who wants attention. She's probably right. But the old man feels the way that everyone does. Her life is at stake.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore, under oath, that it was only 15 seconds.
We all seem to agree that it was 25 to 40 seconds later.
So, now we all agree that the old man lies half the time and tells the truth the other half the time. And I will admit that this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, but he's now a confirmed liar, and that's by your own admission.
That may be true that the old man lies in part, but I think it'll change my vote once more. Guilty.
What about you? What do you think?
I'm not sure what I think. You know, I just wanted to talk some more. At first I thought guilty. Then I changed. Now I'm kind of swinging back to guilty again.
What about you?
No, I am now in doubt. Real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
That would begin to make sense in here.
It seems to be about 9 to 3 in favor of this.
One more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you are doing, but down the steps. No more. The light bulbs are so small. And this murder took place in them. Remember how we stumbled on these steps?
The police officers had to use the big bulbs. One even had a flashlight. Remember?
He looked down the dark hallway of the tenement and recognized the running figure.
He was 100% wrong about how long it took, isn't it? It took twice as long as he thought.
Then could not the old man be 100% wrong about who he thought?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You're making that up out of thin air.
Look, we're a hung jury. Let's just be honest about it.
Do you truly feel there's no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
I beg your pardon, but maybe you don't understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? And who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this, babe? She comes over here running for her life, and before she can even take a big brush, she's telling us how to run our lives. The nerve of her!
No one here is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your mother came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who come running here. Maybe they learned something that we didn't. We're not so perfect.
Please, I'm used to this. It's okay.
It's not okay.
Okay. I apologize. Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
Okay, let's stop the arguing. Who's got something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me. This whole business about the knife wound and how it was made. The downward angle of it, you know?
Don't tell me we're going to start that again. They went over and over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. The father is 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's different 6 inches.
So?
Well, it's a very awkward thing to stab down into the chest of someone who's a half foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied till you see this again. I'm going to give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay. I want you all to pay attention to this. I don't want to have to do it again. You said 6 inches, right? Is this about 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, let it be more.
Look out! That's not funny.
What's the matter with you?
Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, no one's hurt.
All right. Take a look at it. There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's how it was done. Take a look at it and tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument then.
Did you ever stab a man?
Me? Of course not.
Did you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where do you get all your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Have you ever seen a man stabbed?
No.
All right, let me ask you this. The boy was a trained knife fighter. Isn't that so?
That's right.
All right, look at this. Doesn't it seem like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with me? Give me that.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I live. Funny that I didn't hear that before. I mean, I guess you try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed downward. You don't handle a switch knife that way. Use it underhanded.
Then it's not possible he could have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. None of you have ever had any experience with switch knives, and we know that boy had a lot of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe you.
Neither do I. You're doing too much mumbo jumbo.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
How about you?
Look, I'm getting a little sick of this whole thing already. We're getting nowhere fast. Let's stop all of this arguing and go home.
Before we decide anything more, I'd like to try to wrap this all together.
This should be good.
Was here him through anyway.
Do you have any time this too?
Let's hear him.
I'm in advertising. I like to see things get pulled together. Makes for good layout. Why don't we try to look at the whole picture to see if a pattern's there? Maybe we can try getting a fresh point of view.
I want you all to look at this logically and consistently.
We have. Guilty.
All right, Well, let me ask you this. Is this boy smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
The boy's an experienced knife fighter. He was even sent to reform school for knife fighting. It would take a very dumb man to go and murder someone, his father, with the very instrument that everyone would have associated with him.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why would he make the kind of wound that an amateur would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone takes great emotion, great hatred, and at that moment, you would handle the knife as best you could. And a trained knife fighter would handle the knife as they'd been trained, underhand. While someone who had not been trained would go overhand. But this boy is being very smart. Everyone knows that he's a trained knife fighter. So he makes a kind of wound that an amateur would make. That man is a smart man. Smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away. Perhaps even smart enough to wait until an L train is going by in order to cover the noise. Now, is this boy smart or is he dumb?
Hey, Dad, wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the L tracks saw the murder through the L train. So someone in the L train could have seen the murder too.
A possibility, but no one did that we know of.
It would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance, doing the murder as a train.
Exactly. A dumb man. A very stupid man. A man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even hear the train coming by. And at that moment, whoever did murder the father did it as best he could.
So?
This boy, he's dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with the switch knife. A switch knife murder. And yet a moment after the murder, he becomes smart. The boy is smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. Yet at the same time, he's dumb enough to do it as the train is going by. And a moment later, he's smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away. Now, is this kid smart or is he dumb? To say that he's guilty, you have to say that he's dumb from 8 o'clock until midnight. And then he becomes smart 1 second, and then dumb for a few, and then he becomes smart, and then he becomes stupid. So stupid he doesn't even think of a good alibi. Now, is this boy smart or is he dumb? To make this boy guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt, doubt, doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs. On the stand, he swore that it was only 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But we all agree that it must have been almost 40.
Does the old man lie half the time? And then does he tell the truth the other half the time?
For the boy to be guilty, he must be stupid, then smart, then stupid, then smart, and so on. And also for the boy to be guilty, the old man must lie half the time and tell the truth the other half. You can reasonably doubt.
I'm sold on reasonable doubt.
I think I am too.
I want more talk. Now I've had it.
I want another vote.
Okay, another vote's been called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. Okay, 9 for not guilty. Guilty? 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you believe this boy is innocent? Look, you know how people lie. I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. You know, they get drunk and then bang, somebody's lying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. That's how they are. You know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going? Look, these people are drinking and they're fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed. They don't care. Sure, there are a few good things about them too. Look, I'm the first to admit that. I know a few who were pretty decent, but that's the exception. Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What is going on here? I'm speaking my piece, and you, listen to me. They're no good. There's not one of them who's any good. Take it from me. We better watch out. This boy on trial? Well, Don't you know about them? Listen to me! What are you doing? I'm trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to scratch your eyes out.
I'm only trying to tell you.
All right, sit down, everybody. I still believe the boy is guilty of murder. I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
All right then, let's go over her testimony. What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was next to the open window. She could lie down and see into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, at about 12:10, she turned and looked out the window and saw the boy stab his father. As far as I can see, this is an unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
Frankly, in view of this, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal. What do you think about it?
Well, maybe. I mean, there's so much evidence to say.
What do you mean, maybe? She's absolutely right. You could throw out all of the other evidence.
That was my feeling. I don't deny the validity of the points that he's made. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks there's doubt? But what about the story of the woman? She saw it.
Hey, what time is it?
10 minutes of 6.
I don't suppose they'd let us go home early and finish in the morning. We got kid bolts.
Not a chance.
Can't you see the clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh.
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
What do you do when you're lying in bed and you want to know what time it is?
I put my glasses on and look at the clock.
I just lie in bed and wait for my clock to chime. My father gave it to my husband and I when we were married. It was 10 years before we had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. Nobody wears eyeglasses to bed.
The woman who testified that she saw the murder, she wears glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course, she wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They looked quite strong.
That's right, bifocals. She never took them off. Funny, I never thought of that.
Now, the woman testified that the murder took place the second she looked out the window, and that the lights went out a split second later. She wouldn't have had time to put on her glasses just to glance casually out of the window, right? Now, maybe this woman honestly does think she saw the boy kill his father. I think she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How does he know all these things?
Is there anyone here that's not convinced on reasonable doubt?
Well, I will always wonder about there is a
I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced now. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 votes not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right.
Yes, you have a right.
Well, I told you. I think he's guilty. What else do you want?
Your argument.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
Listen. You're the gal. You made all the arguments. You can't turn now. A guilty man's gonna be turned loose in the streets. A murderer. He's got to die. Please, stay with me.
I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong very often, but I guess I was this once. There's a reasonable doubt.
We're waiting.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's gonna be a hung jury, and that's it.
And there's nothing we can do about that, except hope, maybe, why, in a few months, you might get some sleep.
You're all alone. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone. If it is a hung jury, there will be another trial, and we will point some of these things out to the various lawyers.
not guilty.